Welcome back to Brothers Comics. I'm Nick, and today we're going to be talking about some pretty cool news. But first, I want to do a preemptive video a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what Substack is. So if you've been following along in the comic book community, some big changes have kind of been taking place on how we're going to be able to consume comic books that solely revolves around Substack. Now, to go into a little more detail, I'm going to do a follow-up video on James Tynan and some of these other folks that are moving to Substack. But essentially what has happened are creators like James Tynan IV and Snyder and some of these other folks, they are moving to a platform called Substack. This has been so attractive to these creators that James Tynan IV has turned down an exclusive contract with DC for 3 years per his newsletter. So think about that. DC Comics, one of the big two, is not strong enough in terms of what they offer to one of the biggest names in comic books right now to beat out Substack. Now, let's jump into it and basically what Substack is. And at the core of it, it's a place for independent writers. And essentially, it's a newsletter. So if we check out the screen here, basically it shows start a newsletter, build a community, make money from subscriptions, publishing is free with no limits, we only make money when you do. Now there's a couple different things Substack has done. In the past, they've offered contracts to writers, not specifically comic book writers, but say for example, a writer that's prolific, they get a $40,000 contract over the course of 3 years. Okay, great. And what that contract has been described as is basically they give them an upfront $40,000, come to our platform, try it out, and then they take their cut of the subscription fee to basically get their money back. Now, that's just one way they've done it. We don't know if this is the case with these comic writers. We have no clue because they don't disclose that. But at the core of what it is think of it like a Patreon or a clean OnlyFans for these comic book writers. And they actually put out an article that says, we're betting on comic creators. And this was 9 hours ago at the time of recording this. I've been at work all day, so I haven't had a chance to record this until late at night. But it talks a little bit about what they're going to be doing. So Substack has always generally been geared towards journalists and bloggers and things like that, but now they're bringing in comics creators. And that's kind of at the core of what this article is saying. They brought in several Eisner Award-winning writers at this point, Saladin Ahmad, Molly Knox Osterrig, Scott Snyder, and now James Tynan IV. And I'm sure there's going to be many, many more, but this just goes to show how prolific independent comics truly are right now. So what is going to happen is basically James Tynan IV and all these others, maybe Scott Snyder, I believe, is going to be doing like a master class of comics writing. You pay a fee or a subscription, whether that's in James Tynan IV's case, a one-time fee, a yearly fee, a monthly fee, whatever it may be, at different tiers to get access to his content or his newsletter. So in his case, he's going to be putting out several comic books, right? And it's very interesting because there's a lot of concerns. How is James Tynan IV or these other comics creators going to handle these digital comics, right? Because it is at the core of it going to be a digital comics. Now, it's being said through James Tynan IV and some of these others that they're still going to print these comics. So you basically can get some early access to them. But at the core of it, it is basically nothing more than a way to basically create a paywall or a Patreon for these comics writers, and I think it's fine. I'm not sure the big benefit to us as consumers, unless they start doing exclusive, never going to print anything, then maybe. But at the core of it, you're going to be paying several different subscription fees to get access to each one of these particular writers' content. So if you're a huge James Tynan fan, great, just pay for his. But if you want James and Scott, or maybe you want Molly, James, Scott, and Saladin, it's not going to be one fee to access all of the comics. It's going to be one fee per writer. So that's very interesting. So what do you guys think about this? Let's jump over to James, what he is kind of showing off, because this is really the first we're seeing in the comics writer, what they're going to be doing for this. But it's very interesting. So, for example, what this Substack is going to look like for comics creators, or at least James Tynan's, you do have his newsletter, which is still at the core of it free. And then the paywall side of the things are going to include things like it's about to pop up. And then the paywall is going to look like this. So he has several different subscription plans from annual, monthly, to founding member to none. Now, annually, you're going to get subscriber-only posts and full archives. You're going to be able to comment and early access to exclusive merch and comics. Okay, great. Monthly, same thing, except instead of paying, $84 a year, something like that, whatever 7 times 12 is, 77 plus, 84. You would pay annually $75 and you get a $9 discount. Or you can be a founding member, which is only available for like the first 24 hours. So it's actually Tuesday at 10:30 Central Standard Time, something Eastern Standard Time, something like that. But don't hold me to that. But basically, for $250 a year, you get the 6 variant covers, exclusive, available only to founding members, shipped directly to you over the course of next year. So again, I don't want to harp too much on James Tynan's specific piece because I'm going to do another video on that. But this is what it's going to be like. And then we'll see if Scott Snyder has his up yet. But this is just very, very interesting. And that's really what this is. It's just a paywall newsletter with access to the digital comics. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how popular this gets. It sounds a lot similar to like maybe not so much webtoons, but I don't know. The concept of this is very intriguing. I'll be honest though, I don't see this doing long-term extraordinarily well, except for the fact that it does give creators rights to retain their rights to everything, from publishing, who they publish with, if they decide to print it, to movie deals, all of that. That's where the money, I think, is truly going to be with these creators. And then somebody like Tynan and Snyder and things like that, I would imagine, I don't know, but maybe they did end up getting one of those big lump sum contracts up front, similar to some of the other writers they've had in the past. That's pure speculation. I don't know if they did. That's fine. Great for them. I'm all for this. I think anything they can do to empower the creator, take it out of the hands of the editors at Marvel and DC, or take it out of the hands of editors in general that are trying to take away from these writers' passion and what they're doing. I'm all for it. That's why James Tynan is doing what he's doing and these others, I'm sure. So let me know what you guys think. Again, this is basically what Substack is. It's very simple. Just a paywall newsletter. So we'll see how they're going to handle the digital comic side of things, what the actual platform is going to look like in terms of is it just going to be scrolling through PDFs? Are they going to have like an actual like comics reader? You know what I mean? So we'll see. But the comics are definitely taking a big change. We've seen things like this, Comixology exclusive. So clearly independent comics are the way to go right now. If you're willing to turn down DC's 3-year exclusive contract, if that's not enough to lure you in, and James is one of the best right now, if not the best, man, DC, that's tough. That is certainly tough. But guys, let me know what you think. Hopefully, this explains Substack a little bit more. At least gave you a decent understanding of what it is. There's not much to it, but what is here is here. Guys, you are the best part of Two Brothers Comics. And as always, collect your way.